Hey, what up, y'all? I usually don't stream on Mondays, but yeah, today's Monday. Or we're gonna stream the rest of Monday actually, because I was streaming earlier. Oh my god, my fan is so loud. All right, dude, the fan is loud. First one, nice is this. Sounds fun. Who's that? That one looks like. So minimize that. Put that back over here. Down top. Bring this forward. With that there. That.
Copies of Twilight Princess on its release, adding up to almost 9 million total sales.
All
But despite
right. Alright, we're gonna minimize that. We're gonna bring this to front. I'm gonna put this up here. On OBS. This is on top of OBS. We're gonna take the mini window. We're gonna do what we did last time with the mini window. We're gonna make it about this small. Put it in the corner right here. And then we're gonna lock with that. And then flip with this. And then we're gonna change the title real quick. I'm gonna change it to let's see, VTuber reacting to duel reaction while reacting. Wow, I can't spell today. Alright. Welcome to the stream, everyone. I'm leaving this as just chatting because yeah, it's just gonna be just chatting and watching videos or whatnot while grinding
all
rank.
of the critically acclaimed reviews, positive.
But yeah, earlier I was watching Legend of Zelda. Like this is like half of the video right now, so we're gonna watch the rest of it here on stream because I was watching it and I was like, hey, let me actually watch this. I reached the number of maximum staves. Yeah. Ugh. Let's turn this down just a little bit. Ooh, I'm going first.
User scores, people start to realize that this game is very different from what they were expecting, and the division starts to grow within the audience. And speaking of division, I'd like to introduce the sponsor of this video.
Yeah, I really want to play.
Paying my bills this month in exchange for me shilling one of my favorite.
I do want to play this version of Twilight Princess. I do want to play Twilight Princess so bad.
Gaslighting me into thinking that learning is boring, and that is the exact misconception that Brilliant is correcting through offering thousands of interactive, hands-on courses for you to experience without any of those pesky hands-on teachers. When I first got the email from Brilliant, I was pretty excited. I've seen their product advertised on other YouTube videos and always thought it was a pretty cool service. So I first emailed them back to saying, hey, can I get a premium subscription to try it out? And they said, sure, have fun, knock yourself out. When I went to
First monster that gets normal summon is getting bottomless. Cup
Cup
of Ace? Fuck, this is a mill deck.
Better videos for you guys. Their approach to learning by having you physically solve fun interactive puzzles while giving you feedback through every step of the way perfectly caters to my
Come on, let me draw. No, he drew.
These courses through that same approach, whether it's beginner content or all the way up to college advanced skills. You can literally sign up for free and just start experimenting. Hell, some of my favorite content creators like Veritasium and Courage something sponsor Brilliant even have courses.
Oh, he's just talking through an ad. Jesus Christ.
Oh, this place fucking blows. Alright, we gotta talk about these visuals real quick. See, most people looked at Ocarina of Time and thought, this is what a realistic Zelda looks like. Makes sense.
Back then it did. It wasn't too realistic. It was still cartoony back then. Like, when we were kids, we thought it looked real. It was like, oh man, Link hair looks so good.
But just because you're looking at a world that has blue skies, green grass, and noses that would scare Kanye West, it doesn't mean you have a realistic world. You have the bare minimum to visually digest what you're looking at. See,
Man, I sure still my opponent. Yank you, Jesus.
back then, devs were far less concerned about adding visual flair since they first had to make sure objects were visually identifiable. And even that's no guarantee. I don't know if this is the Stone of Agony or a fucking Rumble Pack. Why am I even talking about this?
Okay, let's
Because
balance
with constrained
that,
graphics,
because you
it
know
allows
summoned
more
already.
whimsical, out-of-place
Get rid of this
characters
now.
and details to look far more natural in their setting. If you've seen those realistic renders of the Ocarina of Time enemies, they're pure nightmare fuel, but make them low poly and they look right at home. So, take some...
Yikes. It still looks horrible, though. What you mean? Hold on. We're gonna go back a little bit. Hold
fucking
on.
Rumble Pack. Why am I even talking about this? Because with constrained graphics, it allows more whimsical, out-of-place characters and details to look far more natural in their setting. If you've seen those realistic renders of the Ocarina of
I don't know why I paused. I was gonna say something. We're gonna rewind a little bit back.
Kanye West, it doesn't mean you have a realistic world. You have the bare minimum to visually digest what you're looking at. See, back then, fucking Rumble Pack. Why am I even talking about this? Because with constrained graphics, it allows more whimsical, out-of-place characters and details to look
I will end up playing Twilight Princess on stream one day. Hell, I might make it into a Let's Play. Damn it.
far more natural in their setting. If you've seen those realistic renders of the Ocarina of Time enemies, they're pure nightmare fuel, but make them low poly and they look right at home.
That is still nightmare fuel. The fuck you mean, my guy? That is pure 100% horror.
So, take some of the more whimsical characters that have always played an aesthetic role in
He's reading
the
cards.
games and, get it out.
We're returning online.
Get that out of here, please. Is that a chicken with nipples? And maybe I'm starting to think that this whole idea of having a realistic Zelda isn't what plays best to the Zelda formula. And ever since then, they've never done a realistic style since. I even found a YouTube video where they found a glitch that turned off the shell shading in Breath of the Wild, and the whole thing just looks so uncanny without the filter. But what I think
Yikes.
truly shows the struggle the developers had with these graphics was it just didn't really look that great compared to more realistic games of the
Wait,
time.
didn't attack?
Even Metroid Prime, which ran at double the frame rate, had far more realistic visuals, and that game took
Okay,
like a quarter of the
1800.
time to make. Which I don't think comes at any major flaw of the devs, it's just one of those things that's just hard to make it work. But that's the least of its worries right now. Between the small things like Link looking absolutely zooted 24/7, to the overarching atmosphere of Twilight Realm,
Yeah, what meme is that? Hold on, what the fuck?
was the struggle the developers had with these graphics was it just didn't really look that great compared to more realistic games at the time. Even Metroid Prime, which ran at double the frame rate, had far more realistic visuals, and that game took like a quarter of the time to make. Which I don't think comes at any major flaw of the devs, it's just one of those things that's just hard to make it work. But that's the least of its worries right now. Between the small things like Link looking absolutely zooted 24/7, to the overarching atmosphere of Twilight Realm, it's time to double down on the Prozac because throwing the
What's
writing
that
here,
meme?
and we're for quite the
I've
bummer
never heard
ride,
that
because
meme.
Now we have to address the story.
Yo, this dude's editing is fucking on point. Let me just
The
turn it up
game
just a little
opens
bit.
up on a quaint little village as the sun begins to set into the evening twilight, as we're greeted with Link, or whatever name you chose to give him to enhance your immersion. And save.
Come dumps.
This time around, he's living as a farmer where we live several days in the
Of
life,
course.
meeting residents, herding goats in traditional, mandatory tutorial fashion, as we run errands for the children of the village, who all have three
wanna
different
Emma
versions of
Steve's back
fetal
row so
alcohol
bad.
syndrome. We greet our steed as our quasi-girlfriend Ilya gives her a bath, but not before
Quasi girlfriend.
Tallow runs off into the forest, chasing a monkey like an absolute Chad. Finally, the game picks up as Russell instructs Link to carry this sword
What,
and deliver
monsieur?
it to Hyrule. But before he sets out, monsters
Wow.
barge in, knocking him and everyone else around him unconscious. Upon waking up, he gives chase to the monsters
I
before
haven't
winding
seen
up
this
against a
card in
big-ass
decades.
black wall, which reaches out to grab him and pulls him into the Twilight Realm. And this is where the game's first big reveal. Not only is there a Twilight Realm, but Link transforms into a fucking wolf with blue earrings.
Man, the furry artwork that was made of this as soon as this dropped, especially Aminda. Like, I love my short stocks, but holy fuck, it's way too much. Way too
It's not a
much.
phase, Mom. I told you I'm a wolf. This is the coolest, most edgy, hot topic ass version of Link we will ever see. Turns out you can't be a human in the Twilight Realm unless you have a work visa from the goddess in the form of the Triforce on the back of your hand. But shocked by the transformation, Link is concussed for a second time as monsters drag him into the depths of the Hyrule prison, locking him up presumably for having half a gram of that Zaza on him, which checks out giving his earlier reactions.
My opponent's like, Nani?
Locked in a forgotten prison, tethered by shackles, all hope seems lost until we meet our newest companion, Midna. Yeah,
my opponent was like,
she's
Nani?
a disinterested imp from the Twilight Realm, who offers to free you on the condition that you help her retrieve the missing pieces to her helmet. And after spending a bit of time with her, it's clear that she is absolutely the main character of this game instead of Link, which I am totally fine with. She is easily the second best character in this whole franchise. The first being Joe Rogan. Free to we begin to explore around the area as this 9 Inch Nails Trent Reznor-ass soundtrack plays in the background, perfectly nailing this depressive environment where everyone took 40 Benadryls. The soundtrack in this game did not miss. It's easily the best part of this whole experience. They even nailed the sound effects for these weird subwoofer head creatures. Like, I don't even know where you start with that.
Hey man, look, we're running out of time. Do you have any sound effects for those monsters? Oh yeah,
Wait, really?
Yeah, told you this guy was good.
Midway through our great escape, Midna explains there's someone that we need to visit before our departure from the castle, as we're greeted with none other than Zelda, where they talk back and forth as if they already know each other, and Midna explains that she's been actually looking for us this entire time.
I might lose.
Oh, she
said the Japanese name.
Zelda then explains to us exactly what went down in this hard-as-fuck album cover-looking entrance by the game's main villain, not Ganon, but this masked fucker named Zant, leader of the Twilight Realm, a forbidden world created to banish this tribe of people who created a powerful dark magic that needed to be sealed away. Although word is they just had a lot of dirt in the cleanse. But Zant's back, and he's still pissed about the whole banishing thing. So
okay, that was actually pretty funny.
he's bringing the Twilight Realm back to Hyrule as he gives Zelda an ultimatum.
It's time for you to choose. Surrender or die.
I choose both.
What?
Base.
She surrenders to Zant, who shrouds the land in twilight, and since we're stuck in wolf form, we're instructed to restore the light to each of the areas, while also helping Midna receive 3 pieces of fused shadow to superglue in her helmet that'll give her the ability to defeat Zant. So far, the story's going pretty well. We've got this interesting Twilight Realm, Midna seems to be tight as fuck, we got a creepy-ass villain this time around, and honestly, we're looking at probably one of the best stories in the whole series. It'd be a shame if they cover it in plot holes in the second half, but we'll get to that. We first gotta cover a few points on the game. The biggest addition to the whole game is, of course, the wolf gameplay, which controls surprisingly well, allowing you to dig up items, smell, attack slightly differently, and that's about it. Unfortunately, everything's unlocked from the get-go, so I guess you can't really teach an old dog new tricks, making it feel like an afterthought instead of a fully fleshed out gameplay mechanic. Especially given the fact that a couple games prior, you could turn into a whole goddamn zoo. It seems like a bit of a downgrade, as the majority of the time you spend in beast mode revolves around you collecting tiers of light to change the light bulbs in each area covered in twilight. But again, since you never unlock anything new, it just turns super repetitive. Fortunately, when in human form, the movement still feels great, and the new UI streamlines the whole experience from Ocarina of Time. It really does feel like an upgrade in the franchise. You even get a bow that has attachments like bombs and a scope equipped to it in a UI that's more intuitive than Modern Warfare 2's Gunsmith. One of the biggest features of the whole game is the sheer size of the new Hyrule field, which I will say is very impressive given how much verticality they introduced into the
I really want to play this game.
Topography. And to make it work, it pulls the old trick of slicing it into 4 different regions to keep the console from gassing out loading it all in. The whole thing's cool in theory, but kind of blows in practice. In Ocarina, the field was a vital hub that had to be crossed, but in Twilight, you can just warp around anywhere from the get-go. Now that it's over 4 times the size, the whole thing just feels kind of empty. You can't take 5 steps anywhere in this field without getting harassed by a bunch of annoying-ass enemies, making it hard to enjoy the scenery, and there's not a whole lot to explore except for finding rupees. And boy, does this game throw a lot of fucking rupees at you. Which would be sick if the game actually gave you shit to spend it on. Sure, you can buy all the consumables you could ever hold, but any puzzle that requires them is gonna find a way to hide them in that same area, so you never really need to purchase them in the first place. Which gives you a little reason to go explore the land, because the only thing you're gonna find are rupees, heart pieces, and bugs, which are just gonna get you more rupees. Which isn't to say there aren't cool parts, but it does feel like they kind of rushed through it just to check a box to say that, oh, our Hyrule's like 16.
I love how he's shitting on the game, like, people who are probably fans is like, but you're wrong, you're dumb, this game's amazing, stop trashing my childhood, and shit like that.
Times the graphics or whatever. But in order for us to get a better perspective on the gameplay, we first have to go revisit the story.
Guys, look, he went to Utopia.
With the forest area restored, we set off to the second region of Twilight. As it turns out, the children from the first village were kidnapped, only to be found safely cared for in the fire region, which makes me question this side plot's entire inclusion into the game, at least until one of them sustains what has to be his third concussion by now as we follow pursuit on horseback. Which I will say is probably the second best part of this game. You finally get a piece of that horseback combat, and it's pretty awesome. When it works. If it works.
Please turn. Please. Oh, for the love of...
In the big finale, we rescue Colin and the rest of the kids as we save the day, and this whole side plot proceeds to wrap itself up as we grab that last piece of Fuse Shadow and split off to the last area of Twilight. As we enter the city, we're greeted with a bustling town and one of the most impressive towns in Zelda history, as all these souls are walking around going about their daily business, as if there isn't permanent Twilight realm imposed on them, which, now that I think about it, doesn't seem like that much of a, life-threatening thing. Seems like everyone's just honky-dory. We clap on the lights, and then that's the last of the Twilight realm. World saved so far, but this time the light spirit in the area heeds a warning of the dark magic that we're in pursuit of, mentioning it was used by an ancient tribe that turned corrupt, allegedly the same people who made the Majora's Mask.
Oh, they're the ones that made that game. That's a good one.
We're then treated to one of the most bizarre cutscenes in Zelda history, where it's trying to, again, be like Hot Topic, super edgy and dark, even though Link just probably smoked something laced. I don't know. Anyways, we've cleared up the last of the Twilight, so we now have to
that's still not explained, I think. I think he was just having a nightmare.
Make our way back to the city. And again, Nintendo knocked it out of the park here. This area actually feels like a city with its own unique shops. It's got minstrels. You've got the taverns. You've got this mentally insane kid who owns a castle and is autistic about bugs.
What the fuck does that mean?
You've got this fortune teller who sucks at reading your fortune because her crystal ball will only recommend her podcast clips from Andrew Tate. You've even got mini games to play, and my personal favorite thing is you've got the overpriced ritzy shop, which sells the same items you get everywhere else, but at an insane markup. Yes. And how will you be paying? Motherfucker, I'm paying the ski mask away. Now hand it over. But as we return to the castle town, it turns out there was someone missing from that original village, and that was Ilya, the horse girl friend of ours, who now seems to be suffering from some form of amnesia. And while I praise the game for at least trying to add some more of a dynamic between the characters, it just ends up having a minimal impact on the player, as we don't really know any of these characters, as all these plot points just seem to wrap themselves up with minimal input from the player, making it just feel like padding at this point. Hey Ilya, it's me, Link. Who? Oh, I'm the farmer boy from the village with cares.
Oh, wow. Hold on.
And for at least trying to add some more of a dynamic between the characters, it just ends up having a minimal impact on
this bit right here is hilarious.
The player, as we don't really know any of these characters, as all these plot points just seem to wrap themselves up with minimal input from the player, making it just feel like padding at this point. Hey Ilya, it's me, Link. Who? Oh, I'm the farmer boy from the village with cares.
Damn.
At this point, all the kids are safe with the shaman in the village, so this whole plot point just sort of wraps
If
itself
it's
up.
short
But for now, we have to get that last piece of Fuse Shadow from the water temple, and let's give a big old round for Nintendo for actually making a water temple that doesn't suck. I know that must have taken a lot of restraint. In my opinion, this is one of the best dungeons in the game because it makes you think critically on how you're going to control the flow of water to influence the different levels in the temple, while still being streamlined and intuitive in its own way. Make a joke about Link peeing in the pool. Okay, thanks 5 a.m. Liam. We grab the final Fuse Shadow and our contract with Minna ends, as she's got what she needs to put Zant to rest. We warp back out of the lake and, oh shit, spawn flip! The Light Spirit tries to stop it, but Zant just shuts the whole thing down, casting it aside along with the Fuse Shadow held by Minna. Zant mentions that his power has evolved into something much greater, before cursing Link into perma-wolf form and giving Minna a 3rd-degree sunburn as she's injured by the Light Realm. If you haven't noticed already, just like in Majora's Mask, Ganon isn't even here, and hell yeah, this Sandfucker is the best villain I have so far seen in this franchise. Besides, of course, the moon. The cold composure, the ambiguous face, the Joe Biden stance he takes with Minna, even the spit in his mouth. Like, this guy is scary. It would have even been even more scary if this wasn't ripping off the exact script of Ocarina of Time, where you collect the 3 MacGuffins from the forest, fire, and water, only to get thwarted immediately after. In fact, the side plot with the village kids is the only thing standing between this game, Ocarina of Time, and a giant lawsuit by Nintendo for copyright infringement. Either way, Minna's on her last breath, and the only one that can save her is Zelda, as the greatest song of the whole game takes over the score while we try to rescue her, scaring all the denizens of Castletown. The difference being, we can't rely on any of our friends in this area since they'll attack us on sight in wolf form. So with the help of the tavern's cat, we're guided back into the original prison we first started out in. This may feel average to you, but if you
I feel like I'm being spoiled, but I'm still gonna play the game.
played this back in the day, not a single person paused the game during this whole experience. It was that gripping. Also, if you ever want to impress a bunch of Guitar Center employees, start whipping out Midna's Lament in the store and you'll summon every wallet chain within a 5-meter radius. Myself included. We both wind
Every wallet chain.
up at Zelda's, who says the only thing that can fix Link is the Master Sword. And the only thing that'll fix Midna is Zelda straight up dying to sacrifice her spirit to Midna. And holy hell, the game has some balls to just kill off Zelda. This act of kindness shows Midna that maybe the Light World is saving after being Twilight pilled all this time.
I can't
We
play
travel through the Lost
anything?
Woods because, of course, we have to, because
That's
that was
so
also in
dumb.
Ocarina of Time, to get the Master Sword, which saves Link. And now we have to travel to the Mirror of Twilight to hopefully put Zan away for good. However, according to this guy, it's held within the
Wow, I
super
couldn't do
dangerous prison.
anything.
Oh, hell no. You can already tell this guy's about to start whipping out FBI crime statistics. So it turns out Zant somehow made it here by using the Mirror of Twilight, which is how we're going to send him back, except, oops, that's 7 years of bad luck, and the sages appear to explain what happens. Okay, this is where I swear the writers just straight up ran out of time. Apparently there was this guy named Ganon causing mischief throughout all the lands of Hyrule, and he was referred to as a demon thief. Whatever the fuck that is. So the sages see this guy's causing a bunch of trouble, they lock him up, but apparently, due to a divine prank by the goddess, yes, that is actually what they say, Ganon is granted the power of the Triforce and begins to break free from the chains. They wait until he kills one of them before just sending him to the Nether Realm, where he links up with Zant. Why can't we just have Zant as the villain? Maybe I'm stupid, but I see no reason why we can't just have Zant be the bad guy of this whole game, at all. He's the only one that actually has a valid reason for bringing the Twilight Realm into the Hyrule Realm. I don't know why Ganon has any involvement with this, at all. Like the whole
sucks.
demon thief thing, like, they just pulled that out of their ass because they needed to have Ganon in the Ocarina of Time remake game. Like,
Blue Eyes? I
again,
gotta go
maybe
get
I'm
Blue
just
Eyes.
missing something, but this seems like a decision by the company. But it turns out Zant isn't the true ruler of Twilight, meaning he can't actually break the mirror but only divide it into 4 convenient pieces that all find their way into 4 different temples, and you can guess where we have to go from here. The main part of the story just goes on pause here until we complete all 4 mirror shards, which by now leads us right back into the game. With the first 3 dungeons donezo, you're looking at a pretty stacked loadout here. You've got all the tunics, every type of bomb, the claw shot, the wolf mold on a toggle switch. You've got the fully kitted out bow and arrow along with its free demo version, the slingshot. Not sure why that's still here. But the world's now fully open for us to explore to our heart piece's content, leaving us with one of the biggest issues of this entire game. If you've ever enjoyed a Zelda game, a large chunk of the fun comes from getting lost in the wide variety of obtuse side quests that make you want to double check each hole in liminal space the series has to offer. But the only large side quests in the game just require bullshit hunting. Sure, you can get this schizo girl all the bugs she wants and she'll give you a bigger wallet and enough rupees to crash the Hylian economy, or you can help turn the Goldfinger guy turn human by collecting a bunch of Poe souls, in which he just gives you a bunch of rupees to get it. But now they're worthless because you already crashed the Hylian crypto market. At least with that side quest, you got to interact with the town's cat gang, which is like, hey, why not make that a whole big side quest? I don't know, do a whole thing where you talk to a bunch of animals. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Again, you may think I'm blaming the developers here, but this is probably just because they were up against such tight constraints in making this game,
I'm just
seeing
waiting
how they
till,
were
like,
3 years
oh,
late
he's
in the
gonna-
whole
he's gonna
project.
put that
The
to
only
defense
side
mode?
quest
Okay,
here that
cool.
gets you something unique requires you sharing some gamer girl bathwater with this guy and donating a fuck ton of rupees into this charity. Ugh, charity. Gross. Which not only unlocks this funky tune, but also gives you the funky tunic that makes you invincible while draining your rupees as you wear it. A feature that would have been cool if you had a wallet that could actually make the thing work for longer than 2 minutes. And the game's not hard at all, so the actual utility of it is pretty much useless. Which also brings us to major issue of the game, number 2, which would be the difficulty, because a majority of the combat just looks like this. You can learn hidden skills in the game that make combat a little more spicy, but you never need to use them because, again, you can just do. But you don't always play Zelda for the combat, you play it for the puzzles. At least in theory, because the game isn't that hard.
Damn. He deadass just said it.
A damn shame too, because the dungeons in the second act of the game are some of the most creative in the whole series, but they never really evolve past the linear experience of get 1 key, unlock 1 door. Just compare any of these dungeons to like the Forest Temple from Ocarina of Time. What direction do you go? I don't know. You've got this room that's twisting reality. You've got this weird sewer thing that goes somewhere. And eventually you'll reach a door that needs a key, and then where's the key? Oh my god, it's actually outside of the fucking dungeon. Like, what the hell? I think the best example of this though is despite having this entire warped Shadow Realm, it's never used for any major puzzle solving. Even Metroid Prime 2 had objects in this weird state of flux between 2 realities where manipulating one would change the one and the other. And whenever Twilight does experiment with some new gameplay stuff like the fidget spinner or the ball and chain or the the staff. I don't remember the name. They all expand on them pretty well, but take one step outside of a dungeon and all that shit goes right back into that Metroid corner because it's never being seen again. You may be thinking I'm saying the game's bad, but it's still fantastic. It's just that it missed out on a lot of great opportunities, and it definitely didn't age very well. If you look at the remasters for the Zelda series, Twilight Princess barely broke 1 million, 3 times less than all the other remakes in the series. But despite all of its great inclusion,
yeah, this game looks really fucking fun. I do want to play it. I've actually not only beat like the Game Boy versions of Zelda games. I've never actually beaten the mainline Zelda game. I got close with Majora's Mask, but I never finished.
and charm, the game still gives you this aftertaste of driving on a familiar road.
I get to like where you have to like get the mirror shield and like fucking end up not doing that well.
Covered in fog at night. It's all Zelda,
As far as
but
I
there's just
got,
something
honestly.
so clunky about it, trying so hard to exist solely as one giant Family Guy reference to Ocarina of Time.
I like Twilight Princess, but it's just not the same.
But speaking of dungeons, after speedrunning all of them, we finally get all the pieces to the Mirror of Twilight. We now take the fight directly to Zam, where we approach the
final fight.
A wise man said to change the
Yo, Thought High Hills or Thor High Hills. I need to watch his new video. He has like an hour video up. We just need to sit here and just watch it.
world, you have to first change yourself. So we all start to attack the man in the mirror, as this is where we enter the Twilight Realm for the last time, to confront Zant head on. But as we meet him, he proceeds to have a complete Twitter moment and begins trauma dumping on all of us and how he was supposed to be the ruler of the Twilight Realm, but apparently the magic powers bestowed upon said ruler fell on
Man,
Midna
I wish my
instead
opponent
of him.
played
So he
something.
cursed her into imp form, and it turns out he's been dick
Oh, he's
riding
doing
Ganon
something.
this whole time as he dances around, throwing out any tension building up to this moment before beating him and moving on to the real threat of the game.
Did he just nut? That guy nutted.
Cut down
Oh,
the game's original villain, we now need to fight Ganon, with the only explanation for his involvement in this whole thing being that he wanted to merge the light and the dark to, I don't know, make gray.
This is not a motive.
Unless you work at a paint store, this is a bullshit goal. And you know they're doing it just so they can shoehorn Ganon to make more Zelda references in their Zelda game. And what's even worse is that whole somber moment between Midna and Zelda, I guess
I'll
just
pay
didn't
half.
happen. She's here on
I'll
screen
definitely
now.
pay
You
3,000.
can't just have a character dissolve on this screen with zero
Fuck out of here with that noise.
Alright, fair point. Maybe I'm reading into this too much. Regardless, we still have a kick-ass fight with Ganon and one of the best boss battles in the entire game, as we finally get to witness a better version of that duel that was promised to us all those years back in Space World 2000. We win the fight and everything goes back to normal, except now Minda's no longer cursed in midget form and can turn back into Twilight form. Holy shit!
Yeah, that's the only reason I like Minda.
Oh no, we can't just end on a happy note. I love how the shocking revelation is that Minda, who pronoun is she, who they've been saying she throughout this whole video, is shocked that Minda's a woman. That is hilarious. Boss battles in the entire game, as we finally get to witness a better version of that duel that was promised to us all those years back in Space World 2000. We win the fight and everything goes back to normal, except now Minda's no longer cursed in midget form and can turn back into Twilight form.
Midget form.
Holy shit! Oh no, we can't just end on a happy note. She says farewell to Link and on her way out shatters the mirror of Twilight beyond repair in one of the saddest moments in Zelda history. Right after hearing Zelda voice acted in a British accent.
And tell that to my father, please.
Isn't she beautiful?
And that's Twilight
I'm not supposed to laugh, but it's funny.
Princess. Hopefully these Twilight people show up in Breath of the Wild too. Wouldn't that be cool? If you want to support the channel, every dollar helps. We've got Patreon, so you can be in a video too. Thank you to all the wonderful sponsors. I appreciate every single one of you.
All
every
right.
day I walk into my studio and I see your names on the wall, and I am grateful for that. I've got Twitter. I've got yeah, I've got Twitter. Bye.
High heel. All right, what am I playing against? Final Fantasy. Is this just a stream of him playing Final Fantasy?
This is your brain. And this is your brain on Square Enix. It was a bizarre year for games right now, isn't it? I mean, we got a dog damn
Pendulum.
Klonoa sweep this time. A clonooscopy. Cloaca doing numbers. Only a matter of time before they bring back him. They are friends. We had classics dropping left to right. Chef's Life, a restaurant simulator for PS5, or Matchpoint, Tennis Championships Legends Edition. And Square Enix going damn near buck wild
Yikes.
with the new
My
releases.
opponent's going ham.
I mean, some stuff ain't even on this list. Front mission? Hello? This is like the olden days, the pre-Enix days, the days of Square
Yo, let's
Dog,
go.
back when we had real titles like Deep Dungeon. And I suppose the soft days of Square were also rather prolific, with many very varied releases released back to back then when FF7 granted them the money and time to do so. Spanning everything and anything from fighting games and JRPGs to shoot 'em ups and FMVs. The latter being what they just did again some months ago with no one even bothering to notice. So, let's talk about it. A murder done been mysteried across the annals of time, with skeleton bones being found in the garden of a rich, fancy family, and you, being a mystery novel writer, asked to look into it. Because that's who you step to. Wouldn't be the first time a game had done this, though. There's Rampo. Yeah, him. There's a Saturn game about the dude, a writer pressuring folks of a apartment complex into uncovering a spooky mystery together with his stunt assistant. Sadly, Haruka here does not have a sexy mustache. Unless... And instead of questioning
Unless.
people dryly, she uses the power of books
continuous
and
stuff.
imagination to solve the mysteries of the past in the present to solve the mysteries of the present. Playing quite uniquely too, essentially being a TV show, letting the player pause, check additional details as they pop up, scrutinize dialogue, rewind, collect cues, and eventually put together a thesis. Not being too dissimilar from a Phoenix Wright or Danganronpa structurally, with each chapter being its own connected mystery alongside a big interrogation revelation sequence at the end. That said, where Phoenix might keep
Fake
things a
it.
bit simple and Dangan relying more on action-esque timer-based shits, this game really, and I mean really, wants you to consider every angle and literally connect every dot. Thing is, I won't say nothing about the story due to spoilers, but believe me
Man,
when
I'll
I
just
say
get
that
this
I
Vortex,
have never in my
pen-
fucking
I mean,
life
Odd
played
Eyes
a
out.
game which mystery is not only incredibly complex, but also has every single facet of it meticulously laid and planned out into the finest,
It actually looks pretty good. What game is this?
creamiest details. It is a plot that can survive the most intense levels of scrutiny because the gameplay consists out of the most intense levels of scrutiny. Man, come on!
Yeah, I like this.
Is the show starting yet or what? As simple as the gameplay is, I do very much enjoy the process of conjuring up a theory. Shit can get really fucking layered, and maybe for some that'll feel like that Always Sunny meme, but I felt more like a sleuthing, chin-scratching, pipe-smoking detective using my wits and intuition. Even though, realistically, I was simply working with what the game gave me, as it doesn't allow one to insert clues into slots that they can't go in, but you are still engaging with the material in a way much more hands-on than most other games would ever
see it,
let
he
you,
attack.
and that's just
This
satisfying in
attack
a
into it,
brain
please.
type of way. Besides, just as how a puzzle won't let you force pieces, it can still be fun to work towards a completed picture
I
either
just wanna
way,
play.
especially when in this case characters start pressing you to back up your case with concrete answers, building it up and layering it all out to the best of one's abilities. That said though, the dots connecting can get a tad repetitive. All the visuals and cool transitions can
serious.
legit drag on a tad when you've literally been in there for whole ass hours, but that's honestly my only complaint about the game. 'Cause man, goddamn, these have to be some of the most well-constructed mysteries ever. No unfair left field hidden shit, no unreliable narrators, no nothing never being alluded to. As alluded to, all puzzle pieces are 100% present, which from a writing point of view is really fucking hard to do without making shit super obvious, so fat kudos to the folks behind this
You
game
just
for
normal
that
summon
alone.
that?
And also,
Yeah, I'm
as
just-
hard as it can be to crack cases, I adore how forgiving the cases is always.
He's gonna keep
Can't
playing
soft lock
cards
shit for
until he
one,
pops
and
that,
it
then
saves hella for
attacks.
two, and there's checkpoints aplenty, and if you get a thing wrong, they'll let you try again from that exact spot. That's a very painless experience. It's not like 999 or whatever, where you absolutely can fuck shit up bigly. the Centennial case is great at letting the player know when they're on the right track and making it feel more
Going
rewarding
first.
whenever they are as a result. The directing, writing, and acting
Honestly, I
help with
shouldn't
that
be
too,
going
and
first,
it's got a
but-
good pace and flow to it overall. Essentially,
Oh, my
there
screen
have
is
been
laggy.
some
Yeah, I
new
think my
FMV
screen is
games
laggy.
that seem to be more deliberately throwbacky, whereas this seems like a hard attempt at taking it somewhere new. Tapping into the lore whoring, water cooling, Twitter posting, forum fucking, essay writing of how modern day audiences engage with streaming shows, and making that an intrinsic part of the game, which I think is really cool. Yet, at the same time, it's defo also a rather slow, old school feeling FMV as FMV adventure game. Glacial burn, stern, methodical, heady mystery type beat. It even has noticeable video compression, and it does ooze with style too.
I low-key want to play this. What is that, continuous? No?
Flowing water and cherry blossom trees are worked into its UI and themes. I adore its color correcting, using hella yellows or pinkish hues and faded or darkened contrasts reminiscent of sepia, an old film, accompanied by harsh bokeh depth of fields and very blown out lighting blasting in through the windows, paired up with really odd lens flaring and chromatics. It's a dramatic look. A smidge noir-y, a tad theater.
Yeah, I think I saw Rope play this game one time. I don't know what he was playing it on, but like, it looks like PS4 or PS3.
With its overacting and costume-heavy vibes, and I also fuck with the moody violins in the OST, rounding it all up with a decadent, mischievous, mysterious tone. Well, even the compression acts as a type of grain that adds quite a lot of texture to what could have looked more cheap and sterile otherwise. Not to say that this seems particularly high budget in any fashion, but there is a charm in that. It's campy, I guess. Over the top, but also very tense and serious in a engrossing way, and trust me when I say that the acting fucking hits hard whenever it needs to, too. Overall, Centennial bathes in the notion of the past, clawing its way back into the present.
Look at my effect.
Thematically and aesthetically, and, well, just straight up based on the type of game it is as well, and I love shit like that. Cohesive ass. But, yeah. Anyway, welcome to the 2022 Thor High Heels Game Awards! Sponsored by Square Enix. Yeah, motherfuckers, that's right. A Square Enix moment in the real negative connotation. Well, damn. Jack done came back again, going up against a difficulty brick wall and truncated reused areas advertised as new missions with rehashed
don't get it back.
bosses in this brand new Stranger of Paradise DLC that you could not pay me to buy. Haha, wow. Jake Generican, everybody. Woo! What a legend. So, yeah, fuck that shit. The base game's still goated though, but the marketing for the DLC certainly came across to me as a little stinkily selective about its words to
can't
use
even
and what to
negate
be vague about. New missions, I thought, implied new areas, but no, it's just crazy difficult side shit that has all sorts of dumb bullshit requirements for even unlocking it in the first place, aside from having to pay for it, and I ain't doing that. Definitely not the worst business choice Square made this year though, cause holy fucking shit, dog. First of all, Chocobo GP, giving that the Scam Award. It is not lost on me that I bookended the year with Square. My first vid of 2022 was a video on Squaresoft renders, and my last vid is this. Thumbnails mirroring the times. As stated in the opening pre-award
man.
theming
I got my ass whooped today. Jesus Christ.
preamble prior to prying
Not
away
even paying
at
attention to
a
the board.
Centennial case, Square's in a fairly similar place. As they were in the 90s, as they were dropping games back to back. Some classics, some fun experiments, some cult classics, others big failures, but in all cases, always at least part of a fun creative output. And right now, in the 20s, in between our shit,
yeah, let's get into
Stranger, all the games to be featured in this video, Forspoken, and the upcoming 16, they certainly have a very fun and interestingly varied output once more. Sonic quote.
I want shorter games with worse graphics made by people who are paid more to work less. And I'm not kidding.
Yeah. Woo. Hell yeah. Also, man, I had access to the press assets for this one, which I did not have for these games, which is why there's crust on these women. On the other hand, this thumbnail being very coordinated with the forward motion conveyed through the feathers, the sword, the bottle cap blitz ball, and the racers, and the others seeming a bit busier and less neatly organized, as if more of an explosion
Get faulted by Cayman Soldier!
Is also pretty thematically on the ball with where Square is as opposed to where they was in the meta sense, so fuck it, dog,
I want the
I'm
scoop!
rolling with it.
That's fine.
Also, originally looked
throw
like
the traps?
this back in July.
He chose the back row, guys.
Crisis averted, to be honest.
Then he's smashing ground. Let's go. I'm 800 life, guys. Can I do this?
NFTs were a pretty big thing last year until now, where they died a dog's death. And not to toot my own doot, but I could tell pretty much right away that these shits weren't shit. For instance, telltale signs of a brand new medium tend to contain small new artists cropping up, the porn industry embracing it first and foremost, and it's scaring the piss out of huge corporations, being that it's something that they can't
Jesus
or
Christ!
aren't controlling.
I'm at 800 life points, and he flipped that Penguin Soldier!
That's how it was with MP3 and file sharing.
I was about to scoop that. I gotta watch the replay of that. I was about to scoop that shit.
But with NFTs, it was seemingly literally only huge corporations, grifters, people rejected from other spaces for being too cringe or gross, retired con men, and weirdo libertarians singing its praises, which, I mean, you know. She was like a goddamn gathering of crew members of sinking or sunken ships all getting aboard this really big new boat that was totally gonna be the one. And of course, where there is holes, there is Yosuke Matsuda, the Square Enix CEO. Square Enix goes all in on blockchain with the new Oasis partnership. Cut to months later, where rumors of a new Parasite Steve universe game start cropping up due to the registering of the trademark Symbiogenesis. Only Square Enix global NFT collectible art project Symbiogenesis. New franchise, official Twitter account. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool logo, I guess. But yeah, it's... this shit is deader than dead now, and here fucking Hank Noodle Cup bitch CEO is dropping an NFT project when nothing but backlash awaits. I'm gonna peg a hazard and hazard a guess on this and say that Symbiogenesis is almost certainly where it begins and ends when it comes to Skex Web3. I don't think this is gonna do well for him. Speaking of not doing well though, this was also the year where SE did away with a ton of their non-Japanese IP. Sadly, we will not see a Nomura version of Akuji the Heartless anytime soon.
It's tail time!
There's something bittersweet about it to me though, as those studios didn't seem like they were treated very well per se, or were respected at least in the same way the Japanese collaborators and devs are at Square Japan internally. Even I spoke pretty harshly about their output too in the past, at least within the context of presentations. I mean, I love the Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raiders,
I gotta
for
come
example.
back.
I
got to come back.
Crystal Dynamics is great. Gex, Kane, Kuji, legendary studio. But it's not what I or most core Square fans want from Square. So they announce a presentation and people are like, oh fuck, maybe FF7 remake shit. Oh dang, maybe Final Fantasy 16 big trailer, or Kingdom Hearts 13 trilogy collection, or a new Parasite Steve game. Whoa! Only to then be sitting there watching 30 minutes of Guardians of the Galaxy while stewing in your own salt. By all means, that game seems pretty neat too. It's not really my cup of tea, but I like dumb single-player third-person shooters, so I'd almost certainly enjoy it should I ever play it, but it's not what I want from Square. I think the only Western Square thing that has managed to resonate with its fans is Life is Strange, which I also adore. And it makes perfect sense to me too as to why it would. Female protag, emo vibes, queer-coded as fuck, mass hangout ability. It's not Japanese in any capacity, but the idea that a bunch of motherfuckers who like androgynous Twinkie pretty games about exploring cool worlds with often awkward dialogue, it's like, yeah, duh, of course they're gonna vibe more with a gay-ass adventure game than some manly shoot-man man-guy game. So, yeah, as cool as some of it was,
that
it's
was
probably for the best
my
that
chest.
Square let the majority
I hope they're out of gas. I really hope they're out of
non-Japanese
gas. If they're not, I'll just scoop.
even if they only
They got
did
3
it to
cards
free
in
up a
hand.
budget for
And
their
one of them was a
NFT
trap
coverage.
card.
Perhaps they re-released Live Alive side by side as to take eyes away from this blunder. Certainly the funner thing to talk about now, as this is a other hella late localization. Started from the Silver Case Snowy here, with Moon, Kowloon, Scar the Doll, and now Square giving us a SNES game with rather nice colorful 2.5D graphics.
We can go this way. Then we could do.
Damn, we finally got a sequel to The. Now, if there's one thing.
What the? Hold on. Why the high heels? Alright. Inner combat battle. Hit it with this one. Hit it with this one. And then end turn. Oh my god. How am I coming back? Oh no, how did I come back? If he scoops, oh, that's fine. He has to deal over 800. He will have to summon Rose and blow up the board. Wait, why'd you summon this one? Oh, no, you did summon the right one. Okay, cool. That effect goes off. That effect goes off. Somebody's messaging me. Yes. We got to remove. And now it's treated as a tuner as well. Which I gotta add a synchro monster for this one, because I don't think I have a proper synchro monster. Oh, I think it's game! Oh my god, I came back! Let's go! Getting fucked by penguins! Over here wallowing around winning matches. Oh shit! Good thing I didn't scoop. Oh damn! The temple got him! Jesus Christ, the comeback is real. Hold on. We gotta save that one. Hold the fuck on. We got to save that one. Jesus Christ. Replay. Which one has the longest turns? 19, delete. Yes. 14, delete. Yes. Oh my god, that was nuts! There's a way to look at match history. Data. There was a way to look at match history. Where was it? There was a way to look at match history. It's not edit, it's not data. That was nuts. I got that saved, by the way. That's on the recording. That comeback was nuts. That was a wild ass comeback. Holy shit. I'm too old. So this one's still going down long? Yikes. I don't know how I'll come back from that. Holy shit, my guy. There has to be no way to view that. Duel. Oh, here it is. Match history. Mm, save replay. I want to see what deck he has. Confirm opponent's deck. Oh, you just had a basic one. I thought you had like the well, it is kind of busted. Oh, he's definitely playing the theme deck. Yikes. This guy was running blue eyes. We gotta watch that. I gotta gloat a little bit. Jesus Christ, that was scary. Alright, back to Thought High Heels.
Scarred a doll, and now Square giving us a SNES game with rather nice, colorful 2.5D graphics.
Oh, the SNES game?
L E
E. L E.
Damn, we finally got a sequel to the.
That was
If there's
I
one
don't know
thing
how I
Old
came back from this
Cloaca
shit.
has over New Cloaca, it's the pure magic
bet it's
that
not by
occurs
accident,
when
honestly.
2D sprites on a 3D plane. Live Alive understood this and essentially modernized the style while staying true to it. Because really, this does just look like a fancier version of old school 2.5D as you'd see on PS1, right down to its use of crunchy textures placed on small models. Picture's a little babby room for one. A tiny wash bin, the Minecraft bed, this mini picture frame, the Wii lights bleeping and blooping away. It all adds such a
I don't know how
punctuated
these
punchiness
saved
to
my
geometry
life.
that makes me want to engage with it more. As if these cute
I guess
little
'cause I used Silent
handcrafted
Judgment.
paper craft environments, Lego sets, just ooh, what's this now? How cute. Which is why Live Alive gets the Bestinest Art Style Award.
I couldn't stop
Other
any of this.
contenders would have been Bow to Elves and its uncanny, off-puttingly realistic Try Not to Come challenge CG renders. Atama and its PS360-esque Steam horror vibings boasting some really incredible
I was
lighting
like, alright.
configurations for real.
So
And
if they
I
didn't
sound like really
overlay,
looking like
oh
a
my
Wii horror
god.
game, but
That would've
none,
been cool.
perhaps unfairly due to
I mean, I would've
budgetary
lost if it
reasons,
didn't,
could
like,
quite
overlay or
match
whatnot.
the sheer
I think they ended up
variety that
overlaying
Live
after
Alive
this?
has. And also, this
Yeah, they
style
did
is
that
just
shit.
deeply nostalgic to
Did
me.
that.
'cause,
I negated
whether
that.
it be all the Wii gubbins in the Chinese
Put myself
village,
down to
the fruits,
800.
the stalls, the
That gets
baskets, the
negated.
shirts on hangers,
Goes-
the grass tufts,
that
and
Silent
panels on
Judgment
roofs,
saved
all
my
topped off
ass.
with heartwarmingly chunky, pixelated texture work, or I mean, peep the grass in Shinobi World. Chunk. Or the
Then
tiny
that flip
table
face up.
decorations in the Cowboy Saloon. With the FF12ian bottles and glasses, the Minecraftian chandeliers, the
And he plays
chunky little
that, then I'm like,
barrels, or the
holy shit,
stairs
this,
and
that's how I
upstairs
came back.
railings as opposed
He,
to
didn't,
the
he should not have,
isometric angle popping up
he
as
should have
if
do
it
this in
popped
the
up
graveyard, because I got them both back, right?
fucking
Yeah.
adore how all of this
I got
is.
them both back and retaliated. The top deck. Look at that top deck.
he gonna talk about the game? Far as I can
No, he's not going to talk about the game. We're just going to be sitting out here just gloating on our own selves, you know?
tell, the SNES game was a little basic looking, far as Square's output was at the time, so it's really cool to see them going absolutely ham on this remake that way. Looking more like a remaster of a PS1 remake than anything. But then the modern stuff also adds just so much. Just in this saloon, again, alone, there's the dust particles and the light sheaths shining on through windows and the soft sunsetty hues. It all adds, and that's not even speaking of
The Black
how this
Rose deck
entire
looks pretty
town
cool.
brightly, amberly, and redly comes to life at night. So many soft
Get rid of
glows.
that.
Shit's gorgeous.
So happy that I drew this card.
Bamboo thickets casting dancing shadows, tumbleweeds, leaves, and dust blowing on through the
How the
cowboy
fuck
streets.
did I come back from this? Hold on. So I did that. Send that back. I didn't even get to use Note Penguin's effect. Also, I think he literally ran out of gas. Yeah, because when he did that, I was like, okay, bet. You let me live way too long. I gotta watch Lupin Zero, don't I? I have to watch this season, Lupin Zero.
A serene as brook with dancing flowers, sunny god rays, and eye-piercingly green
Bro, I want to edit just like Thought High Heels, but like I have to do like Adult Swim editing and stuff, you know? Make it all weird and shit. Put little bumpers in between.
grass. Cat, what are you doing?
Cat. Cat, leave the bag alone.
The shinobi story takes place in ancient Japan on a windy night, hence why it is entirely candlelit, with warm amber hues breaking up the deep blues of the shrubbery shaking night. Nothing quite like sneaking
Get back to
around
the
a
field.
dusty attic with
Let's
bead
throw him
dust
right back there.
particles
Bah!
kicking as you shuffle neither.
I didn't think I had enough
And
damage for this.
sometimes the little sheen shading added to shit makes environments look almost pre-rendered. Like, look at this cute little caveman home. Tomba
Oh my
vibes
God, that
aside, the
comeback.
hint of a
Oh my
glint on the
God.
spot, along with
Fuck,
the
man,
cozy
he must be
orange
mad.
lighting, casting high contrast shadows
That
on
was a
the
good game,
low
though.
poly rounded rocks. To me, looks very
Fucking did a
reminiscent
fucking
of many
Yugi
old
Moto.
PS1 pre-renders just uncompressed. Not to mention how great the pixel art is.
Alright,
These
join
characters
it.
is all hecka detailed, and there's so many custom animations for one-off scenes and objects for them to interact with, as well as variations on models for story changes. The entire thing reeks of high effort, which, I mean, let's be real, that's not typically how Square handles their backlog. Fitting, I suppose, given how Live Alive in and of itself is essentially a loving homage
Man, it looks so good.
to a smattering of pop cultural icons that it
We don't get remakes that looks like this, like look just like this, huh? We're never gonna get remakes that look just like this.
would be treated
Like it would be amazing if we could do something like this, like all of them, just in this style.
with such
Oh
retrospect
fuck, man,
respect
summoning!
itself.
Oh my God,
I
summoners look
think
so
it looks
beautiful.
fucking incredible, even bereft of that context.
On,
Stuff like this is more than just technical limitations
Summons
or
look so
budgetary choices.
beautiful
It is a
on
bona fide art style.
Golden
Imagine
Sun,
how
it
nice
was
a
in that
Konoha
style.
remake could have looked if it have looked like this. Imagine a Tomba remaster in this style. A Xenogears one. I'd be down. Until then, though, Live Alive
not
gets the
found.
Best in this Art Style award. Or, well, realistically, it should go to Producer 2021 by Stuffed Wombat, soundtrack by Thor High Heels. But that is a conflict of interest.
Oof. I'm not getting any matches. Is this 2v2? It's 5-player matches? No way. That's way too many. That's way too many. I guess these are people playing against friends and stuff like that. I'm gonna do one casual match with a penguin deck and that's it. Oh, I've been streaming for it hasn't been 2 hours. I know that for sure. That was gonna just stream for like an hour.
And now, please
Oh,
welcome
it's almost an hour.
celebrity guest Rick Ross.
Rick Ross. Why is Rick Ross here?
Rick Ross.
Why is Rick Ross here?
Represent the hardest, bestest video game brick.
And the nominees are
Hey yo, what is up with this? Thought High Heels?
Is a conflict.
Oh, is this the it's Thought High Heel game? I didn't see that at the top. Yeah, I'm sorry, Thought High Heels.
Of interest.
I'ma die, guys.
And now, please welcome celebrity guest Rick Ross.
Is this Rick Ross? Crudely drawn?
Yes, me, Rick Ross, here to present the hardest,
Can you just
Best
flip a monster
video
in and
game
out?
brick. And the nominees are
Oh.
Tyson McGoody,
Like, dang, these bricks is fat as fuck.
Automaton
Sorry, they all look
Lung,
the same.
Wow, so cripsy.
and finally, Stranger of Paradise.
Wow, so pretty.
And the winner is...
Stranger of Paradise.
Stranger of Paradise.
How do I know?
Wow, so pretty. People out here saying Stranger look like a PS3 game. Bitch, no. Also, using that derogatorily is now cringe. And it's gonna make whatever you're saying look
You hear that,
dang-ass
guys?
in due time,
Cringe.
just like those motherfuckers who used to be all like, "Ugh, looks like a PS2 game. Looks just like a Dreamcast game. Looks like an N64 game," or whatever the fuck. It's gonna make one look boomer once waves change tides, carrying past present
Damn.
vibes. You're gonna be made fun of for it, and not just by me. Though Babylon's Fall, and I say this wholly
Look,
non-derogatorily,
hold on.
does look like a
It does look like a PS2 game, but I love how it looks like a PS2 game. That means the PS2 games were looking nice.
PS3 game. Smoke on this Unreal 3 hair for a minute. These muddy, oily textures. The faded brown color palette. Incredible. I have no idea what led to this exactly, because Square has money and Platinum has, well, they have fans, so they must have been doing something right at some point, but something's defo up with what Babylon's Fall is putting down. I bought a new sealed copy for a whopping 12 bucks
look at
to
the
be able to
kitty.
find out myself, only it hits me with a, for some reason in Dutch, despite my American PSN account and PS5 system settings, screen to subscribe to whatever this bullshit is. If I back out and retitle screen, it takes me back here, so, yeah, go fuck yourself, game. Disrespectful piece of shit. Hope your life service ambitions go very well for you, Platinum.
Biggest
Damn.
Failure of the Year award.
Babylon 5. I mean, Babylon 5. Babylon's Fall get fucked. Is he still going? Bro, he's still going. He's still going. He's going first. I hope you. This probably is a bot account. I don't know. I like the fucking. What's the name here? I might end up copying that for myself. Ooh, can I write Genki? Can I write Genki? Please let me write Genki. What? Okay, I'm in. Oh my god. I hate it here. I don't think you're gonna let me play. Hmm? Shit. Nah, sure as I could play. Shit. Just keep going. beat this dude before. Hey, let's continue watching this. While we wait
The
for more
newest
opponent-
PS360 Game of the Year award ain't going to this shit though. A more well-deserving game of that would be Drakengard 3 2.
That looks so good. Oh, Ro played this game. I like the music.
Valkyrie Elysium is a new entry in the goddamn Valkyrie Profile series. 1
Really?
on PS1, 2 on 2, and 3 on 5. Guess it's on 4 too, but it'll run like shit and look blurrier than a Switch game. Though even on tenuously current gen hardware,
that's
it
some of
has
the
a very
same mod-
faded gray look to it, which reminded
Are you
me of
serious?
Drakengard 3.
Did he throw
or indeed many
this
other
monster
PS360 titles.
into the
This
graveyard?
is because it takes after Norwegian mythology about Valkyrie, i.e. women in cool armor who can suck up souls of dead people so that they may then become their imaginary friends with whom they'll do war with, for, and even against the gods. Hence why the entire series takes place in rather cold, windy places. Sure, the original might have some elegant, parallaxing, scrolling, animated layers of pixel art, CG renders, hand-drawn characters, and 3D particle effects,
have
all
to go into
topped off
battle?
with gradiated lighting layers for god rays, but it's still a very bleak world teetering on the edge of destruction, overrun by sickness, slavery, discrimination, and harsh weather conditions. Nothing topical about any of this. No way, no sir. Though, I swear to God, though, the plot is fucking unhinged. Ghoul powder. And the gameplay is all like, technical arts energy is charged. Purify weird soul. Step on it. Press button. And
Wow,
enhancing the full
that's why he
experience
keeps
is an
looking
amazing
it.
score by the ever-legendary Moitoi Sakuraba, conveying angelic scales. Chaotic, baroque action.
This
The
looks really
mystique
good.
of godly powers. And dramatic sorrow.
This looks really good. That was PlayStation? No way. Why are Japanese commercials so better than American commercial when it comes to video games and shit?
My son was deep as the ocean. I am Valkyrie, messenger from Valhalla.
Oh, this came out in Japan, my guy. Yeah, high quality commercials out there.
Valkyrie profile. NX.
All of Motoi Sakuraba's
Oh,
music,
sweet.
though,
Fucking Golden Sun. Let's go.
from about 95 to 2005 sort of sounds the same. Positive connotation. Relying heavily on the Roland sound canvas and the JV-1080 as a standard workhorse, thus lending a consistent instrumentation style that pairs well with his very consistent composition style. The hazy voices of the JV series, for instance, perfect for his desert themes. The woodwinds
Man, I wish I
and
could play
punchy
video
plucks
game.
perfectly befit the
I really wish I
flute-goofy
could play
character
video
moments. And the wildly layered synths, organs, and harpsichords ideal for hymns prog jamming.
When the combat,
It's such
please
a
the middle one first.
consistently comfy
Yes,
blanket of
Lord.
sound. Playing Valk made me fondly reminisce of playing Golden Sun or Mario Tennis or Mario Tennis Power Tour, Tales of Symphonia, Eternia, or Vesperia, even if those games are all wholly different otherwise. And so, I will use this window
gonna
to
negate it
discuss
anyway,
this
so-
year though and what I consider to be the goodest OST. First contender I had was about
Watch
Nelf
this.
and its big fat Dembo beats, string sweets, and record scratches. Another one is Defo Stranger Paradise and its fat dummy remixes of old FF tunes, and shout out to Stray and its sneaky jazzy cat music too. There's a couple songs on either OST that I defo went to listen to outside of the respective games for real. However, nothing could have prepared me for Sonic fucking Frontiers. I think the only track on the whole OST I didn't like was the music that played during the third world, as the other overworld songs were nice. I love the somber piano melody in the first, and the deserty comfiness in 2.
You can just keep doing that? Yeah, fuck out of here.
Dog,
Nope,
the hecking
nope,
cyberspace
nope,
levels, back to
You
back,
just keep doing
continuously and continuously blowed, blown, and sucked away by how every single boost track in this bitch is goddamn goated. There was cool jazzy D&B and twerked
Like I
up
said, I wanna
footwork and
play.
energized bro step and soaring vibes all around. Every track perfectly suited for blasting off, making me feel as if I could fly. Though truly, the OST of 2022 is actually Producer 2021 by Stuff
Casual
Combat,
match is harder than fucking
soundtrack by
standard.
Thor High
Probably because casual
but that's
has
a
a lot of, like,
conflict of interest.
that has a lot of like ban lists, I guess. Casual doesn't go by the ban list.
It's so
I'm
nice
not sure that.
seeing the opulent, drippy, and dire Valk art style conveyed in FF12ian fidelity like this. Or rather, seeing screenshots of VP2 and being baffled by how high budget it seemed for something I know no one has played. Though then seeing it
That is PS2. That looks wonderful.
in motion and catching the facial animations is
I want this game.
like...
You will be adequately compensated. Will you accompany me?
Sounds fair.
Ah, yes. I see. Totally, it's way more bubbly.
I think I'm thinking it in Japanese.
In Bustling, however, the faded color palette is there for sure, but we got lively little towns this time around with
Looks really
fucking
good, though.
cats, baby! Still using the same 2D exploration, funnily enough. All these gubbins, cute interiors, mini flasks, desks, stables, stools,
Come
and
on,
crates
Nika,
are cute,
awesome.
and on the same hand, the
me
deliberate
activate
angling
volumes,
allowed them to
please.
use hella compositioning and 2D elements to make for some vibrantly animated screens.
no volumes for
Similar as to how Live Alive did, it seems as if every plant has to be waving. Every sign is sweeping, every street filled with birds, cats, tons of people that didn't all necessitate written dialogue due to their unreachability, and every window blasting out 2D sheaths of golden light. And therefore, we will now bring you the 2022 Game Cat Award. This year we've had Stray Cat,
Hey.
Saints Row Cat,
Hey.
Kamiwaza Inventory Cat, Yomawari Lost in the
Look at the names he's throwing out there. This horror game? Really?
Dark Cats, and Star Ocean the Divine Force Cat.
Probably Star Ocean.
And the winner is...
Willem.
Willem.
Yeah, this motherfucker featured in a fair few of my videos this year because, hey, I have a cat now. He was always sort of
Bro, when I get a dog, I'm feeling him almost.
my cat, but not
Dead
just
ass.
my cat. See, in 2012, I got homeless till I moved into a shitty apartment in a hell flat with my dad, where 1 year in, a mom cat done littered in the trash, and that's where he came from. I lived with him until 2019 when I
Littered in
moved
the
to where I live
trash,
now,
wow.
and he stayed behind with my dad, who, well, let's just say that my sister's birthday that we were going to celebrate there didn't go exactly as intended. And so now, he's here, enriching my life, giving happy greetings when I come back home from
no,
literally
I wanna do
fucking
that for
anywhere, and always deciding to get loud as fuck the moment I tried to record voiceover, which totally isn't very annoying. Can't say Matt though, this bitch is cute as fuck. Hold that thing dying.
That's so weird about animals. Even though we would hate them for doing stupid shit, we still would love them unconditionally because we know it's not their fault and animals will always be curious and or dumb when they do certain things.
Did put a bit of a damper on a good chunk of my year though.
Which why I'm gonna get a dog, a female dog. I'm gonna get a medium-sized dog too. Not a small dog, not a big dog. I'm gonna a medium-sized dog.
Oh, not gonna lie. Happened during the production of my hugest video too, which was already beginning to feel as if I bit off a chunk too many, and then this shit. Sucked as well, because I had this whole big fun finale planned where I'd go over to my dad's place with the Vita and record footage of me trying to get Willem into Reality Fighter. If that
Reality fighter.
game's coverage felt at all truncated, then this is why. I even filmed B-roll of me walking there. It was
Nah,
gonna
shows
be
my
a cute
opponent does
IRL
something.
live
I'm-
action segment, but
not even
I
my
had to
turn.
scrap most of it as one of the funnier non sequitur gags that accidentally happened to me during it suddenly felt like it would be in poor taste to just drop on in there. Nothing stopping me from including it here though. Shout out to cats. Shout out to my dad. I think my dad just like low-key admitted to being a furry or having a friend who's a furry.
Yikes.
He was just talking about like, yeah, this guy, and he draws like animals, right? But they're like hot. They like kind of look like people. Like they're not like animals. You know what I mean? And I was like thinking about it. And I was like, oh yeah, that was like kind of cool. You know? I was just like remembering it. Like, oh yeah, that was some like really good art. It was really.
Furries do got really good art. It's wild how good their furry art is. Like I'm not even joking. Man, I sure wish my opponent just does something. Like, please. My opponent's not doing anything. I'm gonna keep watching Thought High Heels.
Really hot, and I was just sitting there like, yeah, for sure. I get what you mean, bro. Oh my god, is that a cat with a little jacket? Hello. Hello.
Aww.
Ain't that perfect?
Okay, and the intern, finally, it's my turn. Draw. Wow. Alright, let's do this first.
Man, in the late 2000s, Mana switched up his style, de-emphasizing his previously abundantly overt and over-pronounced prog rock influences in favor of more typical classical music type orchestrations, like his OST for Dark Souls. Even still though, I can still pick up on the vibes and types of chords and musical phrases
I still want to play like the PS2 game. That shit looks really good.
he likes to use, as hearing this I was instantly reminded of this.
Hey, let's go! Let's go!
Made by Soleil, creators of future 2023 GOTY contender Wanted Dead and former devs behind the only Wii U game Devil's Third, Valkyrie Elysium is the action gamification of Profile, still being about
I want to Wii U.
a cool lady tasked by Odin to
Cybers.
soul-suck humans to stop the end of the world, but the prior
Wow,
two
take 100
titles had
damage for no
very
reason.
odd and experimental combat systems, neither of which explained very well, and LSSC has scathingly traditional combat. In a old school, this plays a lot
Yeah, I
like
do wanna
every
play the
action game on
fucking
360
Valkyrie
that
profile
didn't
for
use
PS2.
guns sort of way. Right down to Square doing light attacks and Triangle doing heavies,
1200,
just like
come on,
every
my
beat 'em up
guy.
ever. Camera is also centered, nothing low angled or shouldery, with at times being able to simply let it sit as if a lockdown, being that one doesn't even have to see who you're fighting. Magical grappling hooky zippy zooming between
Let's
enemies with lock on in tow. Does translate how the other games played, of course. There's still face buttony summoning, stun stagger block states corroborating with elements and hit belting, and it sure as shit keeps the
something else like the
flashiness alive
bottomless.
by a fuck ton.
Like the bottomless disc? No!
Like, it's really loud, and there's a lot of particle effects and things happening at once.
Wow, 530?
With your party.
550?
It's really great.
560?
I like it.
But if you've played Heavenly Sword or Genji or any other PS3 era
I'll play
hack and
Genji.
slasher, it's a bit like those, if a lot smoother. The animation work is glidey, buttery, swervy. I love the flow that the grappling hook magic adds, and the aerial combat is damn near amazing. Honestly,
Well, I'm trying
if
not to put
anything,
spells and
feel-wise,
traps.
it reminds
This
me
sucks.
of Kingdom Hearts 2. And where it shares its simplicities and maybe some repetitivities, it also has some of its hidden depth, being that every weapon has crazy expansive movesets and that your party members flesh out in dope ways too. Possibly the most refreshing thing about Elysium,
I wish I
though,
could
is
play.
its structure. It's
I haven't
linear.
drew a
Look at these
monster
maps.
yet.
Yeah, there's deviations, but you're not plopped into these fuck-ass expanses. There's no open roly shit. It is just
not even gonna
actual fucking levels. And I like big maps,
You
I
going
like
straight to
open
Battle
world
Watch?
games, but the trend of them being shoved into games that either don't necessarily need to be that way or even actively become more bloated and worse off as a result of them, I think is gonna fade away soon. I mean, I got shit to do. Sometimes I just want to walk through pretty hallways, and Valk Elysium certainly had my back on that.
Ouch.
But yeah, as stated, it reminded me of
Ouch.
Drakengard 3 a lot pre-release, mainly due to its color
I'ma
palette.
lose,
I was also
guys,
intrigued by
because I
them
have
showing
nothing in
this
my
beautiful
head.
Andro dude on Twitter and casually dropping that he's a fucking slave trader. Having played Profile, though, I now know that
God,
this
it
is just
sucks.
sort of how the series rolls. It is, again, set in a world of decay filled with people in deep, dark places.
This sucks.
Structurally, in one, you got a place upon which a story would unfold in a
sucks so
rather
hard.
needy cutscene sequence with tons of exclusive art, characters, and assets, resulting in a new dead party member by the end of it. Like the tale of a lost little mermaid girl who takes her own life, a kid getting shipped off to war and dying, a samurai fighting his own demons, or, indeed, also a fella who's trying to buy a slave while not trying to make his other slave too sad about the whole ordeal. Yeah, you end up with quite the fucko bingus crew as a result, even if they all shut the fuck up post joining Earthbound style. Luckily, 3 does not do that, and you have yourself an actual talkative party. But it does follow a very similar setup. Absorb the essence of those whomst fuckiest of the soul, but now rigidly
of the soul.
levels based with no obtuse map and sacrificial mechanics,
Can I
being
have a
more
fucking monster,
traditionally
please, game?
JRPG,
Please?
basically. Sure as shit likes you to remember the first, though, I'll say
Oh
that. Square
my
knows how iconic
goodness,
the
I
White
hate
Flower
this
Fields is,
fucking
being
game.
gift to shit online, and so now that's literally the first thing you fucking see when
This
booting
is
it up.
some
It's the second
bullshit.
thing you see on the title screen, and the third thing during the
Bullshit.
tutorial. And you can bet your ass they're coming back
Holy
later in ways I
fuck.
won't spoil. Yet, it is a very different
Nothing
world
but
in a
spells
different
and
state,
traps.
as we're way further towards the inevitable destruction now. The map screen showing large stretches of scorched earth, levels being dotted with overgrown
Nothing
ruins, and
but
formerly
spells and
hustling,
traps.
bustling
I
JRPG
could've
towns left
post
bombed
up
out,
on that deck
destroyed,
anytime,
deserted,
but
and
no.
hollowed out by
Nothing but
viruses.
spells and
With the
traps.
few remaining people
I
staying
need to throw
locked
Mirror
in
Force in
and
here.
almost never going outside, only speaking through doors, if at all, and the rest lingering on as ghosts.
Yeah.
Wow, so much lore. Obviously, handling the towns like this is a easy budgetary choice, but thematically, I really like the vibe. Similar as to how Death Stranding
Lotus
used it,
Blossom.
it really does make this world
Ash
feel
Blossom.
completely dead. Entire cities left in rainy, tumultuous disarray, with water still blue, homes still decorated, but gondolas left alone solely to aimlessly drift in the windy ocean. Besides, it doesn't mean that we can't get colorful neither. The jungle area and its golden god rays shimmering past trees and ruins and poppin' flowers accentuating the overgrown paths and structures. And I love the snowy zone too, it's so fucking bright and comfy. And man, look at these shiny stairs, reminiscent
Yo, those grooves.
of the shiny road,
Yo,
and the shiny grass,
yo,
and the shiny gate,
yo.
and the shiny
Tenchu Z.
wood. Not to mention the shiny stairs from Stranger of Paradise.
Yo.
Quite enjoyed, though, seeing it try to mimic the opulence of one
Yo, I like the Thor High Heels Awards. This is funny as fuck.
while clearly being a budget game made up out of starkly detailed environments topped off with bloom and shaders and modern-day AA outlines. But those at least carry over some of the hand-drawn energy of the original and look great, especially on elements far in the back where they add a sort of grainy overlay type thing that makes shit look still. Love the color palette as well, with faded greens, glowing marble whites, golden accents, and ever moody skyboxes. It's nice. Can't believe they even honored 2's facial animations though. Wow. Now, I've seen many people say that Elysium has no story, and I can kind of get where that's coming from, as it's the impression I first got too. Thing is that the first couple hours have nothing. Not even an establishing cutscene, it's just boilerplate Odin boss man telling you
asked Ro how you enjoyed this game, but I'm gonna skip through this a little bit. The jokes are top tier.
Penny herself, thus leaving the player in silence. But eventually, as the party grows, they will, as humans do, proceed to ask her shit. This is also where side quests get introduced, which almost always involve fleshing them out, and before you know it, you get big cutscenes with big drama and even get to see the bitch smile. Or cry. So, I think it's intentional. Start the game off cold and lonely and have the story and characters bloom in parallel with how our leading lass opens up and becomes more human herself, as that's really what the plot is about. The Odin objectives are only a means to a means to give the game overall a good bit of structure and pacing.
Well, actually, if it wouldn't be too much trouble, I'd like to find out more about the Valkyrie.
Wouldn't we all? Although, now that I think about it, I feel like she's changed recently. When I first met her, it was like she was a puppet or something. She had no emotion, just completely focused on the task at hand.
I remember feeling that too. Yet, recently, she started to listen more to what we have to say.
You're saying that she's becoming more human-like?
You know, I'm not normally one to shit on how other people write their coverage of a game, but
Yeah, kind of weird.
I don't know. You don't exactly need to be a genius level media literate to pick up on this shit. It has a story. A pretty uniquely told one too that does the exact inverse thematically of the original, which I think is cute. There you sacrificed people in weird experimental saga-ian mechanics, got to know them and then they were nothing. And here you make friends and learn to have big emotions over time. And so I grew to really love this cast too, through their interactions. Though I also know that a lot of that is optional. If you don't explore thoroughly, talk to everyone, do side stuff, not even all of it, but still, you can miss out on some pretty crucial shit that led me to this point. Suppose if you're on the clock as well for whatever shitfuck journo job you rush through, do only the main quests back to back and maybe not even finish it all the way. Hell, a lot of its middling rep seems to stem from the fucking demo, which in a classic Square Enix publishing move of incompetence shows the game off with the quiet, cold and first 2 hours, instead of plucking literally any other chapter to show the game off with. Similar to the first one, this one really rewards the time you spent in it with buckets of story content and increasingly more unhinged, flashy gameplay unlocked through it. But none of that is there in the first couple hours, and less of it is there when you rush through. So I do get how it's quickly gained a sort of meh reputation, but I'd say it's still hella worth a playthrough, as I honestly adore Valkyrie Reason. Oh my god. From the comfy, snowy, stormy environments to the slow burn story building up to sweeping dramatic energies, the coolest fuck character design and the fluid and fun combat, to the Motoi Sakuraba OST draped in nostalgic energies, the chill as fuck sub 20-hour runtime, and this lovable cast of weirdos you get to spend time with. Plus, it has those 7th gen as fuck you transitions too. Just like Dark Souls! Hence why I will gladly give it
the newest PS360 Game of the Year award!
Yep. That's right, I did it. Okay, stop clapping now. Realistically, it is mostly just a modern-day AA game than something that could have shown up on PS3, aesthetically and gameplayally, but I don't want to give fucking Babylon's Fall that reward. Fuck off. Yet again, it is very linear, but I'm also more inclined to call that forward-thinking than backwards-thinking, because in a post-Elden Ring, post-Sonic Frontiers, post-Death Stranding, post-Breath of the Wild world, it's like, the fuck are you even gonna do with the open world that we haven't seen already by now? Sometimes progress is a step backward to make sure we didn't take any wrong turns, and so I wouldn't be surprised at all if this decade we start seeing linear games make a bit of a resurgence again, just with some lessons learned from the open world. Maximizing space, making traversal more inherently engaging, putting little mini challenges and goodies off to the side, and also take some cues from Soul's design using views, scaling, player eye guiding, and gradual unlocking to make your
Just play the
hallways
game. I had a
feel
bunch
as
of
if
fun.
a bigger part of a world, all of which Valk 3 defo does. So yeah, I can see this shit slowly coming back again for sure, at least within the AA space for now, as, I mean, to follow up this reward, we probably should also have one for the bestest newest PS2 game too. Kamiwaza was literally a PS2 game, so I could give it to that, but new doesn't really work so much, so I'm gonna give it the goddamn mother heckin' Cumgrave Gore.
Wait, Gungrave came out? Fuck? When did Gungrave come out?
I was not ready for this game to be more of the same of a game from 2002. Gameplay the same, loud, dumb, neon, repetitive, hallways, auto-aim, square, 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 square.
Well, shit, the first game wasn't broken. Don't try to fix it, I guess.
Square, aka me in this video, interspersed with stylish cutscenes about a dark, grimy, druggy plot, and the whole thing is about 12 hours long. Swagged up off the block. Blessed. Genuinely though, a game like this existing along with Evil West or Valk Elysium is such a good omen. The middle market is a coded zone. Games that require less of a monetary investment and can thus be less surefirely assumed to be commercially viable. If Grave had bigger sales pressure, it'd have to concede more with perhaps regular third-person controls, maybe a more conventional story with like actual stakes or emotions, like make Grave relatable by giving him a kid or a fucking personality or some other coward shit, but no, this is a game where the style is its substance, staying as true to its roots as it possibly could. I mean, there was a wee moment here where I was simply looking around for a bit, proceeded to stiffly jump over the blatant blockade and then panned across the city. As this Crisis-Corian dirge of Cerberian music went off in the background, it was then that I was overcome with a sensation of, damn, dog, I'm playing some lost PSP or PS2 title right now. It even has the sudden in-cutscene QTEs a la RE4. That OST though, it uses Spectrasonics drum loops, which are sample packs pretty much only used in the 90s and 2000s, and also that distorted, monotone, edgy man rap style from nu metal and DMC3.
Fucking marshmallow, let's go. Thought I was gonna attack into that. Silly bitch.
The enemy barks also were definitely not done by the English V8 team, which is fucking great. And all of that puts Gore in such a specific old-school mood, which is exactly why it is the most PS2-est game of 2022. With that said, I don't quite recall the original being specifically much of a looker during gameplay, and this one makes great use of ray tracing, colored point lights, wetness, and deep Killer-is-Deadian contrasts to make for quite some nice-looking spaces. I also love the blown-out sound design, the fuck-all need for mechanical depth with its mindless smashing, mashing, and bashing, dudes exploding into bloody bits and the environment detonating and crumbling around you. And gameplay that plays like nothing else out there right now. Yeah, it's a dumb game to be sure, but it sure as shit isn't generic in any capacity either. What it might lack in polish, it makes up for by not being an open world crafting system, over-the-shoulder side quests, bloated 40 hours long Skinner box with way too many systems. I feel like I've played this before I'm up. It's got that one gameplay idea sort of design that many indies have, just as Kamiwaza did too. That game had its stealth style chain shit, and this has its kick their ass smash button to explosion shit. Only, unlike many indies, it does have full modern 3D graphics. It does have many voiced cutscenes and physical copies that sit side by side to AAA games. And I love indies too, don't get me wrong, but there has to be more to games as an art form or an industry than a hard binary of one-man guy type games and crippling crunch 10 billion budget type games. I want a spectrum, a gradient of games, and I'm very glad that in the past handful of years we've been seeing that come back as it was back in the 6th gen. As gore sits in a long, tenuously venerated line of what I like to call Japanese meathead shooters. Yakuza Dead Souls, Bullet Witch, 10,000 Bullets, Dirge, EDF. Games that don't handle like regular shooters, don't value what most other shooters value, and just want to present a unique and stylish interpretation of a power fantasy. And titles like these don't and can't exist without the AA console games market. Thing is, too, AA games more or less went fully handheld over the course of the latter half of the 2000s, and I love what it did there, but action primarily stopped being its bread and butter, favoring adventure gamey affairs. But now, the portable zone is pretty much gone outside of mixed use or specialized interest gear like the Steam Deck. 2As have now returned to the big screen, free to embrace non-gimmicky controls, dual analog, and the scale and spectacle lended by more powerful hardware. I mean, just look at Graves' environmental variety and flair alone. Penis jungles, neon-laden skunk cities.
Did he just say penis jungles? Hold on.
Console games market. Thing is, too, AA games more or less went fully handheld over the course of the latter half of the 2000s, and I love what it did there, but action primarily stopped being its bread and butter, favoring adventure gamey affairs. But now, the portable zone is pretty much gone outside of mixed use or specialized interest gear like the Steam Deck. 2As have now returned to the big screen, free to embrace non-gimmicky controls, dual analog, and the scale and spectacle lended by more powerful hardware. I mean, just look at Graves' environmental variety and flair alone. Penis jungles, neon-laden skunk cities, frozen over brick building slums, a casino level, and gold, marble, skyscrapers, statues, dare I say.
Yo, this dude loves this game.
It's Sophista Future. Again, the game looks pretty great, makes use of that PS5 for 4K 60 fps very nicely, and as has been the whole point of the video so far, Square has certainly been using this opportunity too. I ain't covering them due to time reasons, but we just got a PS360 as-fuck-ass front mission remake, Harvestella looking cute with towns flowing like wine, Dio Field bringing...
Why would he just scoop? Oh, he must have misplayed or something. Fuck. Damn it. You must have looked at my name like, this might be actual bots.
Tactics JRPGs in a big way, which sure as shit was something relegated to handhelds for a long ass time. And we even got a new Star Ocean that legit seems to be giving it its all, despite clearly being a cheaper affair than the Final Fantasies. And hey, my good friend Oni Dino worked on it as a localization lead even. Fuck yeah. And of course, Square also dropped this year's GOTY, Stranger of Paradise. But truly, the Game of the Year 2022 is actually Producer 2021 by Stuff Wombat, soundtrack by Thor High Heels, though that's a conflict of interest. There was a lot more competition than I thought there'd be, honestly. Stray, Live Alive, Valkyrie Elysium, a new goddamn Boku game. It's still crazy that that happened. Sonic Frontiers are all games I loved, but Stranger is still my fave. That game seemed almost too good to be true to me, so specifically catered to my exact dumb taste.
Loaded. Oh shit, Lone Fire Blossom. GG guys, I'm dead.
It has been a great year for horror games. We had Hello Neighbor 2, Hello Neighbor Calypso Protocol that nobody liked.
Hold on.
Crazy that that happened. Sonic Frontiers are all games I loved, but Stranger is still my fave. That game seemed almost too good to be true to me, so specifically catered to my exact dumb taste. It has been a great year for horror games. We had Hello Neighbor 2, Hello Neighbor Calypso Protocol.
That's just hilarious.
Protocol that nobody liked, RE8 DLC that I haven't played yet, and of course, Haison Meguri and Otama, which was the goodest one. Yeah, it's not exactly banging out gangbusters, though perhaps the real horror was real life. To be fair, my shit wasn't as bad compared to like most years of my life. What I mentioned in 2020 still holds true today, but man, losing your dad kinda sucks, to be honest. What didn't help either was some choices I made at the start of the year. Thing B, I wanted to keep up with new games this time. I invented a new So I've been playing format to do it with, which worked, with a combination of showing games and vids on bigger topics like Stray and Liminal Space, and doing the spips where I can talk about whatever, whenever. I managed to do it, but it also sort of fucked with my workflow really, really badly. I'm not a hard worker. I ain't nearly capital
Man, can I
code enough for
fucking
that
play,
shit.
my guy?
Fuck y'all,
Jesus.
willing and able. But normally,
Actually,
how I do vids was to make a video and then spend a week or two vibing, casually prepping some things, jotting down ideas, and then getting back into a new project proper. But in 2022, I'd finish a video and then work on the OST
go ahead
for
and negate it. I'll let
Lunacy,
you negate
work on the OST and sound effects for Producer 2021, work on my next album, which is going to be incredible. And then
Wait, do I
before
get the
I'd
effect
even
now?
had time to gestate on new video ideas, oops, oh fuck, oh shit, new game just dropped, time to figure out a way to cover it ASAP. And so I did end up pushing myself a bit in ways that I normally never would and have now decided won't ever do again. I mean, just look at this video alone. This is all the built up shit I'm catching up on right before the year ends, not to mention it being a product of several projects consolidating, which, has been most of my videos done this year, really. It's like, oh, I want to talk about this game, but then I think like, no one would want to watch that, or it needs a bit more substance maybe, and then other smaller ideas would pile on top, like a review of Yakuza 7, mainly focused on its environments, languishing for months, eventually being hacksawed into another video idea about how uncanny and cool the Rings Terror's realm is. I was gonna do that as a So I've Been Playing, but I didn't want to have to beat the Rings Terror's realm, so I de-emphasized that game, but then I'd feel like I'd have to add more, and then the idea about liminal spaces came about, and so both of those old vids had a new home now. But then Stray came out, and then Haison Meguri came out, and then before I knew it, video nearly an hour long. Great video though, I'm super proud, but it's still a creatively toxic headspace for me, I think. Even this video originally was gonna have reviews for Harvestella and Star Ocean in there too, but no. In 2023, I'ma just focus on the projects I really want to do and only the aspects of them I truly care about, and not let any made-up worries regarding hypothetical viewers or new game releases get in my way. It was a fun experiment either way though, but what I do felt I ended up suffering under. But
Oh shit, is that 16?
I'm still very proud of what came out regardless. Even if views dropped off a bit near the end of the year, that's not my fault, so it's not my problem. Besides, it's not like I need views to live. Shout out to my Patreons. I never would have thought this list of names would have gotten as long as it did, and while that makes it harder to implement them creatively like how I like to do, that is also by far and away the thing I'm most thankful for in life today. Y'all have made it so that I don't even have to think about numbers anymore, and I have dyscalculia. I don't even know how to pronounce that, because I'm dyslexic too. So that fucking rules. Fuck numbers, fuck money, and fuck math.
My brain is free!
Oh, no, that's getting bounced. I gotta check if that game still runs on my rig. I know the remake for 2 does, but I don't know the remake for 3 does. Oh, Thou High Heel's playing it. Okay, cool. Is that it? All right, what's on the YouTubes? We watched this. Flip spell cards. I think we watched that. Clock.
Throughout our rich gaming history, there have been many iconic fighting game series. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, just to name a few. While all these series still have support from their publishers, one once innovative fighter seems to have fallen by the wayside, with not even any re-releases on modern hardware since the game's original launch.
I wonder why is that?
Still garnered
Like we only got a cure from rival schools in Street Fighter V, but that's about it.
and a great deal of admiration online today. As the thumbnail suggests, I'm of course talking about rival schools. Capcom's polygonal versus fighter, featuring similar mechanics to their Marvel vs series, and placed within a high school setting. These games were incredibly unique, so it is no wonder gamers positively reminisce about them today. So with all of this said, hello ladies and gentlemen, Big Daddy Top Hat here. Financially fruitful. Gaming was changing rapidly at this time, with many development houses not being able to keep up with the trend, with them lacking the skills and hardware necessary to deliver the goods.
Yeah, subscribe to
Bad
Top
3D
Hat
games
Gaming.
featuring high-end intellectual
Top
properties
Hat
were
Gaming,
popping up
man, there we go.
everywhere, with
6
some
hours
notable
ago?
falls
What?
from grace, such as Earthworm Jim 3D,
I might end up
which was
losing
so
this match.
bad that it looked
He's
like
doing
it killed
way
off
too
the
much shit.
franchise
I
for
don't
good.
know any about these
Capcom,
cards.
on the other hand, decided against
He
instantly
has
throwing all
Destiny
of their
Hero mixed
efforts
in with something
into the
else.
3D polygon ring, and instead would continue to make 2D sprite-based games. This would mean that Street Fighter 3, the company's long-awaited sequel to Street Fighter 2, would remain in 2D. The game's general producer, Noritaki Funamizu, admitted, "We feel that 3D is not really suitable for the head-to-head fighting, and to
That at the time.
be frank, Capcom doesn't really have the techniques to display high-quality graphics in 3D. Despite this very statement from Capcom existing, all he had to do was look around at the time and see that Soul Blade, Tekken 2 and 3 were all on the market, and all three of these titles were hugely popular head-to-head fighting.
What about fighting Larry? I think he's fighting Larry EX. I think we got fighting Larry EX, but I think it's called Fighting Larry by himself in the West.
Games, which featured 3D polygons. So Capcom's lack of techniques available to display high quality 3D graphics appear to be the more accurate part of that statement, rather
Dude, my fan must be loud as fuck in my mic.
than 3D polygonal graphics not being suitable for the genre. In terms of fighting games, on the 2D side of things, Capcom would continue to release enhanced versions of Street Fighter 3 and continue the Street Fighter Alpha series. In addition, they would continue to release new entries within the Capcom Vs series, and even release Darkstalkers 3 by 1997. Away from Capcom's biggest fighting game cash cows, it does not mean that the company would not begin to test the water, developing games featuring the new, trendy 3D graphical styles. The first of these would arrive in arcades in 1996, with the arrival of Star Gladiator Episode 1 The Final Crusade. This 3D weapons-based game would be programmed to run on PlayStation-based ZM1 arcade hardware, as opposed to the usual CP balls developed by Capcom themselves. The game marks Capcom's first ever in-house polygonal game,
like
and would see a release in
Polygon,
Japan in a
beforehand.
similar time frame to when Street Fighter 3 would debut. The game's
Because
arcade
even though
version
it
along with
wouldn't
its
be the game, no
PlayStation
people
port
would've came out
would
anyway.
both be relatively well received. which I guess must have influenced the company to take further steps in the 3D direction. Around this time, Street Fighter EX would also debut in the arcades, a 3D polygon-based fighting game featuring Capcom's most significant IP. The catch with this one though was that it was not developed by Capcom, but instead the company were only the publisher. The task at hand with this one was outsourced to a development house, Eureka, run by former Capcom employees who had previously worked on Street Fighter 2. A whole calendar year after the release of these games, rival schools would debut in Japanese arcades in November of 1997, using the Sony ZM2 hardware. If Street Fighter EX was the game that brought Street Fighter to 3D, then you could argue that mechanically, Rival Schools was Capcom's 3D Capcom Versus game. The game had initially entered development when the director Hideki Itsuno wanted to make a 60 frames per second polygon-based fighting game, as Capcom's earlier 3D title, Star Gladiator, was only set to 30 frames per second. The working title for the game was initially called Justice Fist, and featured a generic story about fighters coming together from around the world to prove who was the strongest. Hideki showed this concept to others at Capcom, however they were underwhelmed, so he would go back to the drawing board to try and come back with something more interesting.
Why do you
the
send
final
that to the...
concept
Oh,
would
you can send
introduce
this
the
to
high school setting, with Hideki's fault track being that practically everyone has had high school experiences, so I guess the rest from there is history. Anyway, let's check out this game's intro.
I'm activate Dark Hole and see something in that. Oh no, it's Necro Valley, guys. Oh no, I can't do anything in my graveyard. No. Ooh. I'm purposely gonna put Note Penguin in the graveyard. Oh my god, mouse!
So, from the game's brief introduction, we can instantly identify a few similarities between this game and Marvel Superheroes vs Street Fighter, released earlier that same year.
Imagine they got Marvel vs
depicted
Capcom in
using
3D
anime
first.
art
That would
style,
have been nuts.
and more importantly, the game seems to heavily feature air combat, but we'll discuss more on these points shortly. Upon inserting your
Battery
first
low.
credit
Oh
into
no,
one
my
of these
battery!
cabinets, you reach the player select screen, prompting you to choose from a selection of different characters. All characters are represented via anime illustrations rather than with
Charging
3D
battery.
graphics at this point. Upon selecting your character, the game will prompt you to pick another additional fighter, which means, you guessed it, like the Marvel and Capcom Versus series, this game consists of tag team matches, players. This meant, on release, this was Teddy Long's favourite polygon-based fighting game. But we will discuss this in detail later. Holla holla holla! Let's talk about the game's story and the characters within it. The game occurs in a fictional Japanese city, Oharu, where mysterious kidnappings and unprovoked attacks occur. Victims consist of several students and staff members from local high schools throughout the area. With all this going on, a selection of students from each school seeks to investigate who is behind the crimes. The original arcade version of the game features 16 characters, including the two bosses. These characters are representatives of 5 different high schools. It is reported that with the original arcade cabinet, a player selected teams of 2 characters, but they must be from the same school. However, arcade owners could enter a unique operating code which removed the game's story and cutscenes to allow any combination of characters. The game's 2 boss characters can also be selected through this same method. So now let us run through the rival schools and look at the characters within each one. First, we have Teo High School, offering 3 playable students. Teo is a standard small-scale academy for carefree students. The school's fighters include Batsu, who is described as a hot-blooded, impulsive and foul-mouthed teenager who possesses a strong sense of justice and a kind heart. This transfer student is positioned as the star and prominent protagonist of the rival school's games. Next up from Teo we have Hinata, a young girl passionate about martial arts who tries to rally the school students to take up arms with her in the fight against the unknown attacker. Finally we have Kyosuke, who would later show up in 2D sprite-based form in Capcom vs SNK 2. He volunteers to help Batsu and Hinata with their investigation, however there are further story twists involved as the game progresses. The following school to touch on is Gorin High, whose students focus on elite athletic training. The school's fighters consist of Shoma, a baseball master and a mighty fighter, Natsu, a volleyball player because nothing says tough like volleyball, and Roberto, a cool-tempered soccer player who helps defuse his classmates when they get into arguments. The third school is Pacific High, of foreign exchange students from the USA.
You can't really summon monsters.
In a cheap,
well, we know this is back rows like traps in the spell, so like
the three
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna return back to Necro Valley and then flip this space up to get my note payment out the graveyard.
Roy is a self-proclaimed outsider who later in the game is forced to rethink his feelings about Japan and its people. He is joined by the big busted Tiffany, who uses boxing as her fighting style, and Bowman, a large lad of a non-violent nature who agrees to help his classmates regardless. The fourth school, known as Guido High, is reportedly full of gangs, delinquents and mad lads. In this school we have Akira, who wears a complete set of biker gear, Edge, who is a little twat who is known for picking fights and pulling out knives, and Gan, a gang member who lets his muscles do the talking, making him much less of a dick than Edge, who's an edgelord. Finally, we have Justice High, a super elite academy with a rigid and mysterious curriculum. This school is rumoured to house the perpetrator who kidnapped the missing students and teachers. Out of its selectable fighters, it includes Hideo, a language
I guess Grey Keepers isn't ready for penguins.
Who's joined by Kyoko, the school's nurse. Also hailing from this school, we have the game's boss character. The first is Raizo, the school's head teacher, who is responsible for many of the characters' misfortunes throughout the game's story.
Yeah, I should try to speedrun this game, honestly.
Raizo
it's not that hard.
Is positioned as the game's main antagonist.
It's just the last boss that will probably be kind of cheap, because like how the way its source works. Because like instead of hitting on like a 2D plane, it's on a 3D plane.
However, truths are later
unearthed command grab
to reveal he is not the story's central villain. The actual final boss of the game is Hio, who happens to be the head teacher's nephew. However, I will not spoil the game further if you want to play through this yourself. In addition to the other playable characters, Sakura from the Street Fighter Alpha series also makes an appearance in the game as a selectable, unlockable character. She was apparently included as insurance due to the worries of poor sales. Capcom hoped that not a Street Fighter would further grab fans' attention. In all honesty, Sakura is beyond the perfect fit for this game. She is a Japanese high school student, so it genuinely fits with the game's theme anyway. But to add to this, her character design is based on the Japanese superhero schoolgirl archetype, much like Sailor Moon. When you bear in mind the game features the same air combat as the Marvel vs Capcom series, she is the perfect fit and addition to the game's character lineup. Now we have gotten through the characters, let's start talking about the gameplay, starting with tag teaming. The tagging mechanics does work differently from games within the Versus series, and unfortunately you cannot simply switch between your two fighters with a tap of a button.
I wish we had that let's actually just do that instead. Okay. Okay. This is Blue Eyes? If it's Blue Eyes, let's get to Blue Eyes, guys. Let's go. We about to have some fun. I don't give a fuck what Blue Eyes cards you have. We about to have some fun. Go ahead, attack this. I dare you. Wait, he gets to destroy then attack? What? No, guys, I misplayed it. Oh, can I attack the turn to activate this effect? Let's go. But that can. He's gonna overlay into something. What he's gonna overlay into? Okay. So this kind of attack. You just bring that up? He's gonna take on our monsters. Well, this is gonna suck if he's gonna keep spamming this. Damn, I should have waited then. I fucked up. I think I should scoop this one. But it was funny activating that shit first, though. Yeah, I'm not gonna win this one. Yeah, that was my fuck up. I got too greedy.
With the 2D games. In rival schools, fights occur one-on-one between a combatant from each team, and victory is achieved through winning 2 rounds out of 3. After a round, win or lose, the player chooses for 2 characters they would like to fight with within the following round. The primary function of having 2 characters is that team-up attacks can be performed, moves that feature both of your fighters double-teaming an opponent. The team attack can be executed when 2 levels of vigor are
throws him at him.
Special moves are
throws
also
her at him,
only costing 1 level of vigor. The game also features a combo system that functions similarly to the one found within the Versus series, where each character has launch attacks that allow for air combos. Regarding the team attacks we touched on, some of these double team moves are not just attacks, but some feature as healing move combinations instead. The vigor gauge can be filled up to 9 levels, allowing multiple combinations of special and team attacks back to back. Regarding the game's controls, Rival Schools is played using 2 buttons for punching and 2 for kicking, with a light and heavy attack for each. This 4 attack button control scheme is simplified compared to some of the 6 button control schemes found within many other Capcom fighters. Still, it works ideally for the Sony PlayStation. Dude was like, no! The game system was always intended to be ported to the PlayStation, which was programmed for Sony's ZM hardware. He was like, nah, bro.
Holy shit.
That complement offensive action.
Alright, that was my last match.
These include techniques known as target
already hit over my 2-hour limit.
Similar to alpha counters found within the Alpha series. These allow players to
counter. I'm gonna stream a little bit later, but damn, dude just said, nah, bro, I'm gonna just leave. You got that one. I'll bow down.
Work against hard, special, or super attacks. The game also features attack counters, allowing players to cancel incoming hits by timing their own hits with their opponent's attacks. These also offer an extra level of vigor when achieved. So that pretty much sums up all there is to know about the original arcade release of Rival Schools and how the game functions. But what did critics of the time think of the game? Well, let's find out. Next Generation magazine would write, Japanese schoolgirls anyone? If you like them, they're a big part of the premise behind Capcom's new polygonal fighter, Rival Schools United by Fate. The fighting scheme is still Street Fighter based, which helps make Rival Schools fun for any old Capcom fan. Graphically, Rival Schools is stupendous, with polygonal anime-style character designs, clear attention to details, and a wide playing field that's caught dramatically by a moving camera. Rival Schools is a decent game, but it ain't no Street Fighter, or even an X-Men for that matter. To be honest, Rival Schools is a button masher, but it's good, clean mashing, packaged a little differently. Next Generation would give the arcade game 3 out of 5 stars. However, sadly, this was the only arcade
some of these
review
cards
I
are
could pick
still a
up,
little power
which is
creep,
often the
though.
case when searching
Like,
for
especially
reviews of
versus
arcade
now,
games from the time
no,
of this
this
game's
card is
release.
actually
Being
number
a game
75 is
running
pretty
off Sony
busted.
ZM hardware, the game's next stop
But,
would be
like,
on the Sony
this needs to
PlayStation,
stay on the ban
with it
list.
slowly being released worldwide, starting in Japan in July of 1998. The port offered even more than the initial arcade game. The PlayStation version of the title would come spread across 2 CDs.
There's
On
gunfire
these
outside
discs, the
still.
first include the original game and standard modes in most home conversions of the fighting games. The game was enhanced with a new animated introduction and end sequences, and a voiceover was added to the single-player
Wait,
story
so
mode.
it's better to
2
stay
more
inside the
characters
high
were added to
tiers
the
instead of
game,
getting lower and
including
lower?
Hayato, a hot-headed PE teacher, and Daigo, another teenage delinquent
Why?
and gang member. That was all.
Why
just
does
on
the
first
rewards
disc
get low?
ago.
It should be higher,
Disc
isn't it?
2 would be
This is
known
so stupid.
as the Evolution
I hate it
disc,
here, guys.
featuring even more gameplay modes. These would include a range of mini-games based
But
on
I see why I got a
student
bunch of,
activities and a
diamonds
character
now. Let's go
creation
to the
mode
shop.
in the form of a dating sim. Through this mode, you could create your own student, go through an academic year, and develop friendships with any of the characters from the main game. This mode would shed further light on existing characters and their backgrounds. The custom characters could be used in the arcade mode if this mode is completed. Pretty innovative for what was essentially a fighting game, eh? Sadly, this
I
character
should actually
creation mode was
run through
abandoned
it
outside of Japan.
and buy everything.
Capcom claimed it would have taken too much of an effort to translate it all from Japanese to English,
1500.
especially when you consider that even
But
now,
no, I'll buy
dating
the
sims
structure
are
deck.
still a foreign concept to the
What's
West.
in this
So it is
structure
not
deck
surprising
anyway?
that this game element got dropped. Still,
Oh.
Western releases would receive the Evolution disc, and other extra modes were still included. Westerners didn't get the short end of the stick though, as instead the international
Oh,
version was
this is
given
a
its own
dragon
quirks.
deck.
The designs and facial expressions in the
Okay.
Japanese creation mode were instead used to make extra characters for the game. Not too bad at all really. Who needs a dating sim anyway? Past this point, in typical Capcom fashion, the game would receive an updated
Alright.
version.
I
Much
guess that's
like
it for tonight,
millions
night,
of
guys.
versions of Street Fighter.
It might seem ill. It might seem ill, feeling to be a dream guy till ice cream spills off Mrs. Paul's pie. Tonight's dreams for real. You can see the steam off his nice mean grill. A ill flick of hardcore Lorna Doone. Hot on a platter or either raw on a spoon. Just Blaze Radio, Take Out Friday for the bootleggers.